Everything you believe about yourself is wrong. And the ancient Egyptians figured this out over 10,000 years ago, while most of humanity was still recovering from the Younger Dryas floods that wiped out high civilization. Here comes the truth that will completely shatter your understanding of who you are. You have never been a body. You are not matter, pretending to be conscious. You are consciousness, pretending to be matter. The pyramid text from 3200 BCE states something so simple yet revolutionary. The soul belongs to heaven, the body belongs to earth. Stop right now. Feel your heartbeat, your hands, the weight of your physical form, that thing you call yourself. The Egyptians would have laughed at this cosmic joke. You think you are the car when you are the driver. Now, before you roll your eyes and dismiss this as ancient mythology, consider something hilarious. We can barely understand our own psychology today. Yet Egyptian priests mapped the entire architecture of consciousness with surgical precision, while other cultures were trying to survive from the ancient meteoric apocalypse called the Younger Dryas that happened around 11,000 years ago. The Egyptians had a problem with reincarnation that no other culture dared to address. While everyone else talked about souls bouncing between bodies, they asked the obvious question: why would consciousness choose to return to this chaos? Their answer changes everything. Your soul operates like a movie projector. The bar, your heart soul, is the light source. Your mind is the lens. Your body is the screen where the movie plays out. When the movie ends, does the projector disappear? Of course not. The bar simply looks for another screen, another opportunity to continue the story. But here comes the twist that makes you responsible for everything. The story continues based on unfulfilled desires stored in your ab, your heart conscience. Every thought, every choice, every emotional reaction creates your future reality. The Egyptians called this Meskhenet. Eastern traditions later called it karma. Wait, hold on. If this sounds too simple, too convenient, let me poke a massive hole in this theory. If you create your own reality through consciousness, why does life suck so much? Why do terrible things happen to good people? The Egyptian answer is brutally honest and will make you uncomfortable. Because you as a soul chose these specific challenges for your evolution. Your current struggles are not punishments. They are your curriculum. This 10,000-year-old wisdom system understood what modern psychology still struggles with. The Egyptians mapped 9 distinct aspects of your spiritual anatomy. 9 layers of what you truly are. While we argue about whether consciousness survives death, they created detailed blueprints of multidimensional existence. Your car is your spiritual double, an energetic copy that survives physical death. Imagine having a perfect backup system that maintains continuity, while your consciousness expands beyond personality limitations. The cut is your physical body, the temporary vehicle you drive around, except you have become so identified with the vehicle that you forgot you are the driver. The Kemet is your shadow aspect, not psychological shadows, but your energetic shadow that moves with consciousness itself. Even your shadow has awareness. Even the parts of yourself you cannot see directly participate in your spiritual totality. Your Ku is the spiritual soul, immortal, unchanging, connected to divine consciousness. While you worry about aging and death, the Ku observes these concerns like watching children play dress-up games. But here is where Egyptian soul science becomes practical rather than theoretical. The Sahu represents integration of all 9 aspects while still alive in physical form. Not after death, not in some distant future, but right now. Most humans only identify with 3 of these 9 aspects: the physical body, the ego personality, and the name on their birth certificate. You own a 9-room mansion, but live in the basement, convinced that basement is all there is. The Egyptians would call this spiritual stupidity. Now let me argue with myself for a moment, because this sounds almost too organized, too systematic. How could ancient people possibly map consciousness with more precision than our modern neuroscience? Easy answer. They had something we lack: focus and time to explore inner reality without smartphones, Netflix, and the 1,000 daily distractions that keep modern minds scattered like leaves in a hurricane. The bar starts applying what Dr. Ashby calls subtle pressure on your waking consciousness when ready for evolution. You begin questioning things that never bothered you before. Old relationships feel hollow. Career paths that once seemed important suddenly feel meaningless. This is not depression. This is your soul demanding authentic expression. Most people fight this pressure. They medicate it, distract themselves, or try to force their old life to work despite inner restlessness. The Egyptians would call this spiritual rebellion against your own growth. The smart approach is conscious cooperation. Stop fighting the divine discontent and recognize it as your soul's graduation notice. Time to move beyond kindergarten consciousness and engage with your full spiritual potential. Here comes the practical method that sounds almost too simple. Follow your intuition. The Egyptians understood that intuitive guidance flows directly from your Ba. When you feel drawn toward certain experiences, people, or directions, that is your soul navigating toward optimal growth opportunities. But wait, and here comes another hole I need to poke in this beautiful theory. If following intuition is so simple, why do most people make terrible decisions when they follow their heart? Because they mistake emotional reactions for intuitive guidance. The difference is everything. The Ab, your heart conscience, becomes your practice ground. Every reaction, every judgment, every emotional charge shows you exactly where consciousness still gets trapped in unconscious patterns. The goal is not eliminating emotions, but recognizing yourself as the awareness that witnesses all emotional states without being defined by any of them. Your Ren represents your true spiritual name, not the label on your birth certificate, but the vibrational signature that identifies you across lifetimes. The Sekhem is spiritual power itself, the life force that animates everything. This is like Chi and Prana combined with Shakti. You think you run on food and sleep? The Egyptians knew you are powered by cosmic energy, flowing through specific channels in your spiritual anatomy. Now here is the irony that should make you laugh. We spend billions on space exploration, looking for life elsewhere, when the Egyptians mapped 9 dimensions of life within a single human being over 10,000 years ago. We search for extraterrestrial intelligence while ignoring the multidimensional intelligence operating through our own consciousness. The ultimate Egyptian teaching reduces to this: you are not a human trying to become spiritual. You are spirit temporarily focused through human experience for conscious evolution. When you remember this truth and live from this understanding, awakening becomes as natural as breathing. Here is the question that should keep you awake tonight. If your consciousness wearing a body like clothes, if you're a 9-aspect spiritual system temporarily playing human, then who exactly is hearing these words right now? The ancient Egyptians would smile at your confusion. They would gently point out that the very awareness asking this question is the bar recognizing itself through the limitations of personality, while animated by cosmic life force and witnessed by immortal consciousness. You are not having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual experience having itself through the temporary costume of human form. The Egyptians figured this out when most of civilization was still recovering from the Younger Dryas floods that wiped out high civilization. Your bar has been waiting patiently for this recognition. The pressure you feel to grow, to change, to become more authentic. That is consciousness applying exactly the right amount of force to crack open the shell of limited identity. This ancient wisdom system gave birth to the mystical traditions that later spread across the world. What you call spirituality today traces back to these temple teachings carved in stone 5 millennia ago. Perhaps the time has come to remember what they never forgot.